Good morning. It's Sunday. I slept at like 3 and woke up around 10:30 maybe. So I think that was decent, but I was really dead tired yesterday and I couldn't stay up for the finals. And the finals were between teams I wasn't really too excited for. So there's this one team, Team Liquid, that has been very dominant since TI and maybe leading up to TI, but they have been super consistent, which is really impressive. Usually you see teams fall off after they win, the biggest tournament that they can imagine, but they're still doing very well, so that's kind of scary. But they're still, 7 months or so before TI, so they might fall down. We never know. So this morning I decided that I will do the same trip I did last time. I'll go to grab bubble tea while I drive up north. And then I was thinking of stopping into Del Mar and finding another random neighborhood to walk her in because I really enjoyed the one I did last time. And, I have so many problems that I'm really realizing is so much worse than I expected. So one of them is that I tend to feel guilty when I leave Raleigh I feel guilty whenever I leave Raleigh, and it sucks because I feel like, throughout the week I go to work, right? So she's in there for 4 hours, 4-hour increments because I come home for lunch and I do walk her. So she's in the crate. But on the weekends, whenever I leave her, my thought process tends to be, I have to do something really great for her before I leave. That way she's tired out while I'm gone. So yesterday I only managed to walk her not very excitingly. It was like around the neighborhood. I don't think it was very long because it was hot, and I left her to go riding for a couple hours, and I feel guilty, and I shouldn't, right? Because I need to do stuff for myself. Usually when I do go out, I tend to take her with me for hiking, or I like to take her with me, but she can't always come with, right? I do tend to struggle with the idea of going out and doing stuff and leaving her home. So that's kind of why today I wanted to lead off with taking her on a nice long walk in a new location, so it's a little more exciting for her. And it is something that I enjoy doing. Ideally, maybe I would like to take another ride today. Maybe not as long because yesterday was a little draining for me, but maybe if I dress better, it will be okay. I actually noticed that my gas tank completely drained after yesterday. I think I have 2 ticks of gas left, so I probably will have to fill up again before I go out. But the second thing that I do think is an issue with myself that I should get over as well is that yesterday when I was riding, when I was feeling, less happy about being very cold on the freeway while riding, I was feeling kind of ashamed for having those thoughts because I was so excited leading up to being able to ride and buying a motorcycle again that I was like, it's not this one short moment, but anytime I do have those thoughts where it's not super excited about the activity I'm doing, I tend to feel like it might end up dampening the whole experience because I had that brief moment of negative thoughts instead of being overwhelmingly happy that I was riding. And it's stupid to feel ashamed over a period where I was uncomfortable. I was cold on the highway. That's normal. It doesn't mean that riding itself wasn't enjoyable. Overall, I think it was incredible and I had a great time and it's nice to ride again. But I should stop having these thoughts where if I'm not fully enjoying something the entire time I'm doing it, then it becomes more of a dampened memory or something. But I have to stop thinking that way because I notice myself feeling that way for many things. And yesterday while riding and thinking about it, I was kind of feeling pathetic for having those thoughts because sure, buying a bike is expensive. Me obtaining it did take some time and patience. And so just because I had a few moments while I was riding where I wasn't entirely happy doesn't mean that it was a waste. I have noticed these things about myself for a short while, but I never thought that they were bad enough to be something I have to get over, but they definitely are. They probably impede my enjoyment, and that's completely counteractive to what it should be. So, you know, you really learn more about yourself as you grow older, and I do hope that I kind of get over these thoughts, but maybe they might linger, or maybe eventually I'll get used to reminding myself that they are stupid. But I'm going to head out now. Can I just say that her car riding etiquette is so phenomenal now, because half the time whenever I would go hiking with someone, you would forget that she's even there because she's so quiet, and she just stays in like a down position with her head down even when I leave the car and come back, which I think is really impressive. So, such a good girl. I'm so proud of her. Break. Good. Brick! Good girl, there she comes. Past the finish line, good job. Try that again. Sit, good girl. Brick, good. Yes, good job. I haven't seen her sprint in so long. Walk turned out to be hotter than I thought. So I'm sweating myself. So that was a pretty decent workout. Let me see, how long did I go walking for? I think that was like a 40-minute walk. And I try to walk in the shade as much as possible. There's only so much shade in California. There aren't that many trees around, and a lot of these neighborhoods have no trees right next to the sidewalk, at least, so I had to use like brush to try to get her shade, but I think a lot of the time she was like taller, so she didn't actually get the shade. But I think it was a good workout. She seems pretty tired by now and worn out, so by the time I get home she would have gotten a decent amount of rest. And I like this neighborhood a lot. I don't know if I would want to live here. I mean, there's nothing wrong with living here, there's just not any space. Like, I don't think any of these houses have large backyards. They just have very nice views because this is a hill. But I think I would definitely want a large backyard. So a lot of the houses here are also very close together, like right next door. So if you go outside and your neighbor's there, you can't really avoid them, and I would want to avoid them. But yeah, this neighborhood's so nice. I just wish it was a little closer. It's kind of like 20 to 25 minutes away from my house, so it's not a convenient place to always drive to, but it really is the perfect place to take a walk. Holy shit. It's not that close to the sidewalk. Right. Taking a short break while I'm home to eat, because normally when I plan out my day, I don't usually leave room for eating. Like, ideally, I would just come back here, put Riley in the crate, give her some water, and then I would leave right away. But that's not good because I haven't had lunch yet, and I don't need to be always on the move. Like, I need to make sure I remember to eat because I do think I plan on taking a longish ride again, so not being hungry would be nice for that. But Actually, yesterday I ended up needing to pee. I had like that urge to pee yesterday when riding, and that makes it less fun, so I might have to refrain from drinking any water before I leave and during my ride. It's decently hot today, but I will probably try to wear more than I did yesterday just to account for the highway winds. I'm probably going in the same direction, except I'm going up to Sunrise Highway, which is somewhere I went hiking a lot in the past, but this time I want to ride through it and see, what's on the other side, because I've always just gone up towards like the middle area, hiked, and then came back down, but I've never passed through it, so that would be interesting to pass through. I guess it's kind of a busy afternoon for me, and aside from that, I kind of hope to watch a movie tonight when I'm done, because I really enjoyed the 2 movies I watched the other day, The Hurricane and Wonder, so I want to keep that up with some more good movies. And I am kind of stockpiling movies right now. Like, I have a lot in my backlog, so it would be nice to get through those. I am cooking some dinner right now. I started watching The Square, which is one of the foreign films from Sweden that was nominated for an Oscar, and it is 2.5 hours long, and I don't like it one bit. I'm 2 hours in and was surprised to realize I still had 30 minutes to go, so I'm cooking and then I'm going to half-ass watch the rest because I can't deal with it at all. I can't relate to it at all. Don't really like the premise, but I actually feel like I may have gotten a little sick from my ride because when I went up the mountain, it got really, really cold on Sunrise Highway. Like, I think that it was maybe 50 degrees along with the wind chill, and my nose started running, and I really couldn't warm up by the time I got home for a long time. Like, my hands were very numb and cold for maybe like 30 minutes to 45 minutes after I got home. And then I started sneezing like 10 times in a row. No lie, I kept sneezing over and over and over again. And then I started getting watery eyes, stuffy and runny nose. So I think by now I might be better. That definitely sucked. I have to maybe look into heated gear, which is actually kind of strange because that's for winter wear. I don't do well with the cold and I have a small body, so I need to figure something out if I want to truly enjoy riding in a diverse way, because by the time I get to around my area, like 20 minutes out, it does get warm and it feels fine, but the places I like to ride will be like that, cold, or just it will vary. So I need to look into ways that I can stay warm. Aside from that though, it was a good ride. I stopped a few times to take a break. I definitely have to plan out my trips better because I usually, these past 2, I've just been riding nonstop, and that's not good because my body ends up being extremely sore and it starts being painful. So I need to pick a place, go there, stop and rest, and maybe like eat something, drink something, rejuvenate, then come home. It's still only like 7 p.m. right now. Parents will be here in 5-ish days, and I'm looking forward to it. I think I only have time for one more movie before I should go to sleep. So since I already watched a new one today, I think I should save my night with a movie I've seen that I know will be good. And I have chosen to watch Hacksaw Ridge. Honestly, when I heard that Mel Gibson was going to come back to direct, I was pretty eager to see what he would make. What he did in the past doesn't really bother me that much. Like, everyone has their low points. Everyone says some pretty terrible stuff, it's just not made public. So I liked his work in the past, and I thought Hacksaw Ridge was amazing. I also love Andrew Garfield, so that was a dual win for me. And I haven't seen that movie since I saw it in theaters over a year ago, I guess. So I would like to watch it again. You know, sometimes I kind of wonder if I actually do enjoy interacting with people. And the reason I think that is because while I've been riding these past 2 days, anytime I have like the smallest bit of interaction with someone, whether it's like the motorcycle wave to each other, I always find that really entertaining. Or just like I was going up Sunrise Highway today and there was a Corvette behind me. And when there was a turnout, I just let him go ahead of me because I wanted to cruise. I didn't want to just be slow in his face. So when I let him pass, he kind of like honked and waved at me. And I was feeling like I like those interactions. And, you know, sometimes when I actually talk to someone who is respectful, I genuinely enjoy it. But the thing is, I feel like I tend to be very defensive very quickly. And if I'm out with Riley, it's just impossible for me not to be rude because everyone does what I expect that they do. So a quick example of that was yesterday when I kind of like left her out on the front porch and I went inside to grab a plastic bag. And when I came back out and I was turned around, I was locking my door, and then I heard some woman baby talking her. And it turned out to be the male woman. And I said, "Don't do that." And I don't think she heard me because her facial expression didn't really change. She was focused on Riley and she was still muttering like baby shit. And I got really angry about that. I hate baby talk. If you're talking to your own pets in a high-pitched voice and like meh, 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 whatever, they're your own pets. But why would you ever do that to someone else's dog that you don't even know? And when they choose to not listen to what you say, you, the owner that is there to represent your dog, that pisses me off even more. So in situations like that, I don't care that I come across as a bitch. In fact, I would rather them see me as a bitch. That way they are less inclined to continue interacting with her. And that stuff just really pisses me off. So it's really hard for me to achieve that sort of balance because it's like night and day when you find someone that really respects what you're asking of them. Because I was kind of noticing her behavior in two different scenarios. So in the scenario with the male woman, when it comes to strangers, I prefer for Riley to be aloof, like not care about them at all. Don't even acknowledge that they exist, which is what I do with most other humans. But the thing is though, I think that if a human is trying to entice your dog, it's kind of hard for your dog to ignore them, right? So when the male lady was there, Riley was sitting down, which is good. Sitting is good and holding it is good, but she was kind of like leaning towards the woman and she was like sniffing in her direction. And that of course shows intrigue and interest, and I wasn't really fond of that because I don't want her to return attention to someone that she shouldn't be doing it to. I say shouldn't mainly because I don't want her to pay these annoying ass people any attention, but you know, it's kind of hard for a dog not to. So in that situation, she kind of ends up doing what the woman wants her to, even though the good thing is that she doesn't get close to this random person because that would be even worse. In that situation, she did the best that she could, I think. She showed interest from a distance, which is probably as good as it gets for these kind of people. But I noticed today, right before I was going to go out for my motorcycle ride, I had just gotten back from Del Mar with Riley. And I was at the front door, and as usual, Riley is there sitting and waiting for me. And my landlord walks by from the back, and I had already told him right before I was moving in how I train Riley, and I just told him to ignore her. And honestly, he is so respectful of that. He doesn't even really look at her much, or even if he does, it's very calm and gentle, and it's the kind of look where you don't even notice it because there's not a lot of energy coming off of him towards her. So he kind of asked me about the motorcycle and how it was going, and the entire time we were standing there talking, Riley was completely not paying attention to him at all. Like, she wasn't even really looking at him. She was just sitting there doing the usual dog thing, like panning, smiling, looking at the sky, being all happy. But what impressed me was just that her manner was very aloof, which is what I like. That's what I would love for her to do for anybody. But the difference in that situation is that the human is respectful, and therefore it allows her to be the best self she can be. But if there's idiots that try to entice your dog and they don't even know you, then yeah, your dog might not respond the best because they aren't very sure what to do about that energy that that stranger is projecting towards them. And there's only so much I can do to control that person who is being a bad influence on my dog. So I didn't mean to talk about this so extensively. I think I kind of worded things poorly, but I guess what I'm just trying to say is that sometimes there are moments where I feel like I like connecting with people, and when people are respectful, I realize that I like giving people a chance to show me that there's a good side to them. But just anytime I'm out with Riley, I just expect the worst from people, and they kind of prove it to me by acting poorly. It always makes me sad. It forces me to be very holed up when I'm out with her, and I don't welcome any interaction whatsoever. I feel like it would take a miracle for someone to show me that they are respectful of us in public, especially because I feel like not many people know about this type of training, and they probably think I'm just being a bitch. So, it's whatever, right? I don't want to, it's not my job to satisfy these people by letting them interact with her in the way that they think is acceptable, which is definitely not. Sometimes I just feel like I have glimmers of hope. Well, it's more like sometimes I just think there are situations where I find myself enjoying interactions, and I'm like, hey, maybe I'm not that bad in terms of integrating with society as I think I am. There aren't many situations that end up the way that I expect it to. And it's not like I actually have had many situations lately to really even socialize with someone. So I don't really mind.